We're 100 days to the Olympics, right? Do you like the Winter Olympics? Let me ask you a question. Who ever heard of Sochi before this, right? Well, I hadn't. Sochi is where the Olympics are going to be held in just under 100 days. I may even be saying it wrong, but it's on the Black Sea. The Black Sea is a sea that's north of Istanbul and Turkey. It's kind of there where we don't know, right? But there's some important things that have occurred on the Black Sea. First of all, 100 days from now, we're going to have the Olympics. On February 1945, something very important happened in the town next to Sochi. It's called Yalta. Those of you in World War II would know that the three primary leaders of the Allies in World War II came to that area called Yalta in the Crimea, which is a little peninsula in the Black Sea, and had a conference. That was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Stalin, and Winston Churchill, and they were figuring out how to end World War II. That was right there, just down the way a few miles from it. But there's something else that occurred. There was a very minor war that occurred, minor meaning none of us really care about it anymore. It was major if you were in it. But in 1855, there was a war called the Crimean War between the Russians and the British. And they weren't prepared to fight, but they started fighting, and they fought with old weapons, and those old weapons were rusty. And so they were bayoneting each other and swording each other and shooting each other with rusty equipment. And it so happened that the British got so sick, literally the warriors or the men of the army got so ill that 10 times more people died from non-battle ailments than from the battle. Typhoid, yellow fever, typhus, gangrene, on it went. And people were just dying and dying and dying and dying. And there was a small group of women in England who said, we got to stop this. And if you remember the story, the leader of those women was a lady named Florence Nightingale. So she took a group of women. It took 30 days, I think, to get across Europe. I'm flying 12,000 miles tonight in a day, less than a day. It took 30 days to go the 300 miles to get across from England to the continent, around the continent, into the Dardanelles, to what we now call Istanbul, to a hospital. And there she started. And it was interesting. They didn't know what to do. How do you help these people? And she persistently did it. She's the mother of modern nursing. If you're a nurse, Florence Nightingale started modern nursing and antiseptic type nursing and all those things because people were dying, not just of the battle, the primary issue. They were dying because of the secondary issues. 90% of the people who died in that war died from the secondary issues. See, we look at the primary, the war. The war didn't kill the people, it was everything else that killed them. And we look at the prodigal son, or we look at the problem here and realize that we got to just work on everything. We've got to clean up our own side of the street. So Florence Nightingale would go around at night. There was no electricity, no lighting. It was in this dark building. And actually, the sewers of the city ran underneath it, so the ventilation of the sewers were killing the people. I mean, it was just bad, bad, bad. But you know what she was called? Does anybody know the name they called her? The Lady of the Lamp, because she would come in the middle of the night with a lamp, and she would sit it by this man, and she would work on him, encourage him, know he might die by morning, but still pray with him and encourage him, and then she'd go over here and do the same thing, Lady of the Lamp, and do the same thing. And she would work all night long. Her workers would work all day long. She would work all night long to work with these people. Well, Psalm 119 says this, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Now, what is the difference between a lamp and a light? There's a huge difference. A light shows you what's out there and allows people to see that you're here. But a lamp, back in the olden days, little candle, little wicker kind of thing with oil or kerosene or whatever they had, was to show you right around you. Was to show you, just to illuminate. So when she had the lamp, it only illuminated her in that one bed. It wasn't a big spotlight. But the Word of God is a light, draws people, but when they come, there is a lamp that you and I have, which is the Word of God, and because we are believers, if you're a Christian, you have the Word of God in you, right? Jesus Christ is the living Word, and you are a lamp unto people. And what does the little children's song say? Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. You got a choice. The elder brother chose to hold behind a bushel his lamp, his light. He hid it behind a wall, which was good. Shame. Your son did all these bad things. But let me tell you, you have the opportunity of a lifetime to reach into people's life who are hurting. Now, you don't just reach in with your own things, you reach in with the light of the gospel, the lamp of the Word of God. And I tell you what, there's nothing like it. What we're asking you to do is something very simple in this whole initiative, is just to pray for people. There is nothing, this is how I do it. We had Bill, thank you, Bill Hood, last week, share the gospel with us. We had Elizabeth 2 weeks ago. This is what I do. I'll tell you how I do it. I just go to people and I say, how can I pray for you? And I've never had anybody not give an answer. How can I pray for you? And if you start praying for people and then praying what they have asked you to pray for, then they have given you permission to enter their spiritual lives. As dead and gangrenous as it might be, or as alive and open as it might be, you can enter into their lives. Say, I prayed for you yesterday. How you doing? Well, and then off you go. Just share the gospel.